Hello, and thanks for joining us. Here's what's happening right now. Trump's sweeping tariffs struck down.
Foreign countries that have been ripping us off for years are ecstatic.
The president's defiant pivot and furious response, and what it all means for Canada.
If you're only coming here on a one-year work permit, why are you bringing your family and expecting taxpayers to pay for that?
Danielle Smith's defense of her new referendum plan and why the opposition is crying foul. Plus, how the country held its breath during a comeback for the ages.
CTV National News with Heather Butts.
I'm Marcia McMillan in today for Heather. Let's get straight to our developing news. The U.S. Supreme Court struck down President Donald Trump's global tariffs, dealing a stunning political and economic blow to the president and his agenda, with far-reaching implications for many countries, including Canada. Trump reacting to the decision, calling it a disgrace and promising even stronger measures. Lots to unpack here. CTV's Abigail Beeman starts us off in Ottawa. Abigail.
Marcia, Donald Trump came out swinging against the ruling and announced a new 10% global tariff. So far, neither the Prime Minister's office nor the White House has clarified to CTV News whether Canadian CUSMA-exempt goods are impacted.
I'm ashamed of certain members of the court, absolutely ashamed.
The American president says he's deeply disappointed in the U.S. Supreme Court decision striking down so-called IEEPA or fentanyl tariffs. He then, as many predicted, announced new ones.
Today I will sign an order to impose a 10% global tariff under Section 122, over and above our normal tariffs already being charged. And we're also initiating several Section 301 and other investigations to protect our country.
President Trump has famously said his favorite word is tariff. And so I don't think they're going to simply walk away.
IEEPA tariffs collected an estimated $240 billion. The Supreme Court decision did not address refunds, while one dissenting opinion noted handling them would be a mess.
Unraveling that and securing refunds is going to be messy, but that's certainly going to be a key issue that Canadian businesses are going to be focused on.
While steel and aluminum, automotive and lumber tariffs remain in place. Yet the vast majority of Canadian goods were exempt from IEEPA tariffs anyway due to CUSMA, the free trade deal that's up for review.
With these midterms, with a shifting political climate in the United States, with the inability of Congress to just follow him at a command, all of those things add up to a situation where I think it is more likely that he's actually going to engage on CUSMA than attempt to burn it to the ground.
The lead minister on the Canada-U.S. file said in a statement the court decision reinforces Canada's position that IEEPA tariffs are unjustified, but says, quote, critical work lies ahead to fight for businesses still impacted by tariffs on steel, aluminum, and autos. Marcia?
Abigail, thank you. And as Abigail just reported, despite today's ruling, most tariffs remain in place for Canada, including on steel, aluminum, cars, and lumber. CTV's Adrian Gabriel is tracking that part of the story for us. Adrian.
Marcia, whether you're a Canadian auto worker or you ply your trade in the steel or aluminum industry, the president of Canada's largest private sector union says today's U.S. Supreme Court ruling is no reason for celebration.
Sitting idle, Canada's auto assembly industry knows full well the toll of President Donald Trump's trade tactics, as does the country's steel and aluminum sectors, railroaded by punishing tariffs. Today's Supreme Court ruling brings little reprieve.
Our members have been on the front lines of this trade war because they work in all the sectors that Trump is coming after: the auto sector, the steel sector, the aluminum sector, the lumber sector.
Sectoral tariffs remain in place for each of those Canadian industries under President Trump's so-called national security tariffs. Trump has multiple levers he can still pull to apply additional trade pressure north of the border.
We expect him to explore a whole range of other options. Those include introducing new legislation to give himself new presidential powers that both President Trump but future administrations would wield.
While bracing for a blunt response from the Trump administration, Unifor's president notes that U.S. trade policy isn't just hurting Canadian industry.
They're having an impact on U.S. workers and U.S. industry. The manufacturing footprint in the U.S. is actually declining.
Speaking at Harvard this week, the president of Canada's Auto Parts Manufacturers Association believes the door has been opened to fight the tariffs still hammering Canada's economy.
It's really important to see that the Supreme Court will rule against the president, even when he overreaches. I think that's an important victory for the rule of law.
Those we spoke with today also add that it's important to keep focused on the upcoming CUSMA negotiations. The consensus, the clearest path towards keeping Canada's economy afloat, a new free trade agreement with our largest trading partner. Marcia.
Adrian, thank you. Conservative leader Pierre Poilievre called today's ruling a step in the right direction, but also called for sectoral tariffs to be lifted. In a post on X, he said, anything less than this means our workers will continue to suffer. Prime Minister Carney promised to negotiate a win and get a deal by July 21st of last year. U.S. tariffs on Canada have gotten worse. With more from Ottawa, let's bring in CTV's chief political correspondent, Vashi Kapelis. Vashi, what are you hearing from the federal government on this decision?
Well, there's a lack of clarity there, just as Abigail was conveying to our viewers and to you a few moments ago. The White House has yet to specify exactly how this new threat of additional tariffs would apply to countries that have some CUSMA exemptions like ours. So we await to see. And so far, from what I can ascertain from people I'm speaking to, they don't have that clarity yet. Either some of them are, in fact, being told that they might not have that clarity from the White House until early next week. So right now, it's kind of a holding pattern. I think what they're really trying to do is stay out of the line of fire of the president, not be too public about their reaction, because you heard the president very specifically threaten to go after all these foreign countries that would be celebrating this verdict.
So what could this mean for trade negotiations between our two countries?
Well, I think, you know, there is the possibility that this is good news in the longer term as this review of CUSMA that Adrian mentioned gets underway. And that is because the potential for Trump to be weakened in his negotiating position, in the White House's negotiating position, is increased by this decision. I just finished interviewing a Representative, Debbie Dingell, from Congress, who basically said this is incredibly encouraging to Congress because it does talk very specifically about Congress's relative power when it comes to making these tariffs come to life or applying them to various countries. So she feels that it will embolden some of her Republican colleagues, and we've seen some evidence of that on social media, who previously have been kind of quiet about pushing back against the president. If that's the case, that's probably our best bet in these renegotiations. If more Republicans make their voices known, perhaps that could ultimately sway Trump.
All right, Vashi, thanks for that. BC's premier says today's ruling shows that the people in Canada and around the world were right in thinking the U.S. tariffs were wrong.
So this is an important decision, even just to restore some of our confidence in one of our closest friends and allies and trading partners here in Canada. And the decision of the Supreme Court underlines why we have had confidence in the U.S. over the years.
All right, let's turn now to the impact on our pocketbooks and bring in BNN Bloomberg's Andrew Bell. Andrew, how are the markets responding?
Markets were pretty calm. The TSX actually rose a bit and closed at a new record high. It's hard to attribute much of that to the tariff decision because right now, I know the government has been beating this drum endlessly. The tariff burden on Canada is not that bad. I know our steel and aluminum sectors have been hit by another set of tariffs that weren't even affected today. But our market went up and the broad U.S. stock market went up, but it was generally a bit of a shrug. I'll give you one example. Nike stock jumped after the Supreme Court decision came out because, of course, Nike brings in so much stuff from Asia. But then it ended the day down. Lululemon jumped as well because it brings so much stuff into the USA and would be vulnerable to tariffs. But it did end the day higher. But really not a huge reaction among investors today to this thing because, as we've been hearing, Trump's going to fight back. He's defiant. That's the word. And he says, OK, I'm going to impose a 10% global tariff.
In the meantime, Andy, what could this mean for Canadian consumers and their investments?
Not a lot, because some stuff has gone up because of tariffs. The problem for our economy, though, is this uncertainty. I know I'm a bit like a broken record. Everybody's talking about that. But it definitely has deferred investment in this country. especially in Ontario, the manufacturing heartland still, because companies just don't know what way the ball is going to bounce next. So that's really a crucial problem. It has been a crucial problem for our economy for quite a few years now, a lack of business investment. And you can't blame corporate boards. Let's just hold off. We don't know. Is it even a bad idea to expand or build a factory in Canada right now? I mean, Trump won't be there forever. But say a Democratic administration takes over, they too could be protectionist.
Andrew, thank you for this.
Thanks so much.
A major comeback in Milan, including a last-minute goal, propelled Canada's men's hockey team to the gold medal game. Finland jumped out to a 2-0 lead in the Olympic semifinal, but in the third period, Canada finally tied it on a goal from Shea Theodore, and with just 35 seconds left, Nathan MacKinnon blasted in a power play goal to win the game and keep the gold medal dream alive.
It was closer than they wanted it to be, and they had to do it without Sidney Crosby. It was such a slim margin for error. Both of the last two games could have gone either way.
Connor McDavid was named team captain with Sidney Crosby injured. McDavid picked up 2 assists, including one that set up the winning goal. He now has 13 points, which is a record for a single Olympic tournament in the NHL area. For more, let's go to Milan. CTV's Heather Butts has post-game reaction with Canadian fans. Heather.
Another emotional night for Canadian hockey fans here in Italy with a game many said was far too tight for too long. At this bar here in Milan, a popular place for Canadians to come and watch hockey and celebrate together. Tonight, there is jubilation that Canada's men's hockey team will play in the gold medal game.
The first year is so stressful, like just being down, and then all of a sudden Canada put all the energy in and just crushed it right to the bitter end.
Let's go, Canada! Let's go! As you get closer to the finals, these teams are just way too strong. So, and it doesn't matter what team it is. It's unbelievable, man. They're good hockey.
I'd like to be at the game today, but a close second is this. I mean, a couple hundred Canadians, just crazy. This is how it should be at the Olympics.
We're just a family that just enjoys hockey in general, and this was just amazing opportunity to be here in Milan with my kids.
There is so much joy and excitement here tonight. New friendships formed over sport. And those who don't have tickets tell me they will be back here to cheer on their team in the gold medal game on Sunday. Heather Butts, CTV News, Milan, Italy.
So who will play Canada in the final on Sunday? The winner of the U.S. versus Slovakia is currently 5-0 for the Americans in the third period. 2 more medals for Canada. Valerie Malte skated to a bronze in the 1,500-meter long track, her third medal at Milano Cortina, after claiming bronze in the 3,000 and gold in the team pursuit. And Canada has also won bronze in a freestyle skiing event. Brendan McKay got himself on the podium on the very last run of the men's halfpipe final. The 28-year-old finished 9th at the last Olympics. In some other news, a judge has shut down the door on bail for an alleged money launderer linked to former Canadian Olympian Ryan Wedding. 37-year-old Roland Sokolowski was denied bail in a Toronto courtroom as he fights extradition to the U.S. Prosecutors say he helped funnel hundreds of millions in assets across borders for an international drug smuggling ring allegedly run by Wedding. The court found keeping him behind bars was necessary, citing concerns he could flee if released. A day after the former Prince Andrew was released, police are searching his royal lodge in Windsor. Andrew Mountbatten Windsor was arrested yesterday and remains under investigation on suspicion of misconduct in public office in relation to private information allegedly shared with Jeffrey Epstein. Coming up.
If you're only coming here on a 1-year work permit, why are you bringing your family and expecting taxpayers to pay for that?
Why Alberta's premier is asking voters to decide on the future of immigration. Alberta Premier Danielle Smith is defending her plan to hold a referendum this October on immigration and other constitutional issues impacting the province. Kamal Karmali is joining us now. Kamal, why is Alberta's premier holding this referendum now?
Alberta's premier says not every newcomer is a net contributor, and that's putting a strain on social services like hospitals and schools. So now Danielle Smith, in a 13-minute televised address, says she's putting 9 questions to a province-wide referendum on October 19th. 5 of those questions focus on immigration and access to provincially funded services. So one question even asks Albertans if non-permanent residents should be charged a fee to access health and education systems. Another asks if newcomers should be cut off from social services if they don't fall under a specific immigration status. Smith says Alberta's population has grown by nearly 600,000 people in 5 years, and temporary workers, she says, are costing Albertans money.
If you're only coming here on a 1-year work permit, why are you bringing your family and expecting taxpayers to pay for that? It's $12,000 for every child who goes into a child care system. It's $12,000 for every child who goes into the K-12 education system.
And other questions also delve into Constitution, Marcia, like whether Alberta should have the power to pick and appoint Superior Court judges.
Alberta's opposition party believes Smith has an ulterior motive?
Yeah, it's no coincidence that Smith is announcing this referendum, according to the Alberta NDP, when the provincial budget is set to be tabled next week, highlighting a multi-billion-dollar deficit. So they're saying this is creating concern. This policy will unfairly target all immigrants. Marcia.
Kamal, thank you. Still ahead, the plan to expose the truth, why we may learn whether aliens are really out there. NASA's March 6th target to send astronauts back around the moon, including a Canadian, is go for launch. The space agency confirmed the date after a successful wet dress rehearsal, an important test where the rocket is filled with fuel and goes through a practice run of the countdown sequence. Canadian Jeremy Hansen, along with 3 other American astronauts, will embark on the 10-day journey designed to clear the way for a future moon landing. UFO enthusiasts are over the moon with President Trump, who has ordered the Pentagon and other government agencies to release files related to flying saucers, UAPs, and alien life. It comes after former President Barack Obama weighed in on the subject of extraterrestrials. Here's CTV's John Venevali-Rao.
My gosh. American Navy pilots have spotted them. Strange objects flying in unusual ways. But now the U.S. president vowing to release whatever his government knows about UFOs and aliens. But is Donald Trump a believer?
I don't have an opinion on it. I never talk about it. A lot of people do. A lot of people believe it.
Trump directing America's Department of War and other agencies to begin the process of identifying and releasing government files related to alien and extraterrestrial life. That includes UFOs, which these days are called unidentified aerial phenomena.
A lot of UFO fans are really excited that this is it. This is what we've been waiting for. This is Christmas. We're going to be getting all the files.
There's some. It all comes after former U.S. President Barack Obama appeared on a podcast and offered a surprising answer to this question.
Are aliens real?
They're real, but I haven't seen them, and they're not being kept in what is it?
Area 51.
Area 51.
His statement that they're real led to so much buzz online, Obama later clarified, writing, "Statistically, the universe is so vast that the odds are good there's life out there," adding, "I saw no evidence during my presidency that extraterrestrials have made contact with us, really." Still, Trump accused Obama of revealing classified information. In 2024, the U.S. Pentagon said there was no evidence alien life had ever been encountered, but added there were sightings that needed further investigation. Still, of Trump's latest directive, some think he's just using it to deflect attention.
Some people had said already that this was going to be a distraction from some other files that he doesn't want to release. So maybe we'll get something, but I'm not holding my breath quite yet.
Meanwhile, Trump did not set any kind of a deadline for the release of information. Marcia.
Thanks, John. After the break, why these Canadians are lacing up and living their Olympic dream for the host country. With all the excitement over Canada's men's and women's hockey teams at the Olympics, it's easy to forget the host nation's squad on the ice. As CTV's Garrett Barry shows us, there are Canadians playing for Team Italy, too.
Soaking up her Olympic moment at the Cauldron in Milan.
You know, you're walking in the streets, walking in the venues. Everybody's just so proud when you're wearing the colors.
Montreal-born Kayla Tutino has a lot to be proud of.
You know, we're very proud to be Canadian, but we're also proud of our heritage. It's been a big part of my upbringing, so for me to give back in this way and represent my grandparents and my parents, it's really special.
Tutino plays for Italy as a dual Canadian-Italian citizen. She scored the country's second ever goal in women's ice hockey at the Olympics, which helped power the first ever win and first ever playoff qualification.
We wanted to show everyone, you know, what Italian hockey is all about, and we felt like we accomplished that.
To prepare, the team trained for weeks in Montreal, pretty close to home for Tutino and 4 other Canadian-born dual citizens. Among them, Kristen Guerriero, whose mother traveled to support her here in Milan.
I start crying just out of just sheer whatever for her, because yeah, she's always worked hard in every sport and everything she's ever done. So I'm like so proud of her. It's beyond belief.
The Canadian-born players will also compete with the Italian team at a Tier 2 World Championship in April, hoping to build on the new hockey momentum in Italy.
We went to visit her at the Duomo, and there was little children that wanted to take her picture with her. Today we were at the rink after to meet up with her, and some kids asked her to sign their flag. I was like, oh my gosh.
The Olympic ice surfaces will be torn up after the games are done, but politicians here in Milan have promised a new temporary structure starting in October to be followed by a permanent arena within 3 years. Garrett Barry, CTV News, Milan.
And that is our newscast for this Friday. Thanks for joining us. I'm Marcia McMillan. See you tonight on CTV National News. Good night.
CTV National News, Canada's #1 newscast.